So a few tips with reading aloud, right? Because we've got little kids. I always encourage parents to get books that are written in rhyme, because that helps you out. If you're not used to doing voices, I mean, very few of us are as talented as Fleur to do voices and stuff like that. So reading can get monotonous and you yourself will feel really bored. So first, choose a book that you know you'll enjoy, and then choose a book that's written in rhyme so that there's the rhythm for you to follow. That's not so tedious. When you read a book that's rhyming also, it helps with prediction. After a while, the kid will know to recognize that maybe the last word of the every alternate line will rhyme. So even though they can't read the text, but they can use the pictures to guess the context, and then they'll guess the word that's supposed to be in, and that's really good confidence builder. I think if you have, because I really like to eat, right, Singaporean, so book-related snacks make you know, it's very Pavlovian. So you take out your book-related snacks, right? Like you have cheese and chips and stuff like that. Then you know, okay, it's reading time. That's if you have a kid that maybe you're not used to having a story time yet, right? You need...
Very hesitant.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, and I think if you have like parties or gathering also, you just whip out your snacks and the kids know, okay, it's time for a book. Right? And then it's really... And I think it's also very comforting. A story is comforting, so is food, right? So they go together very well. I think you also have to read your books over and over again. Sometimes we want to hit lots of goals in life. We think, okay, we must read 100 books in a week, right? Oh, the book list is 20 books, especially when your kid's going to P1, right? You have like a book list to hit. So you have to, you feel like, okay, I have to check off all my lists. I have to read different books. Or I have parents saying that my kid is reading the same kind of books again and again. But that is great, right? Because the child knows what he or she wants. There is a reason why a child goes back to a certain book. Because like Fleur goes back to Baba all the time, because it's comforting.
I'm the same.
Right?
I haven't moved on.
No, and you don't have to, because these are stories that are lasting. It appeals to your to your nature, right? To what your thoughts are and your feelings are. So why not, right? And it gives you comfort.
And can I add to that? And that's important too for sight reading.
Yeah.
They love reading the same book, and then there's two different ways, strategies to reading. You need to use sight reading plus phonics, and usually they work together. And sight, that's how they will achieve that, is by reading the same book over and over again, and they'll know those words from that book.
Yeah, so read the same books over and over again, and if they go to the library and they pull out the same book from the shelf, that's fine. It's a library, you're allowed to borrow it again and again and again. Just do it, right, and just keep renewing. I think it's also great that Fleur has a corner for the kids to do the extension activities, right, where you have to create after reading, because reading gives you lots of ideas. It always touches something, right? So then you want to give the child an outlet to express whatever he or she is feeling. Yep.
And then before we do question and answers, I wanted to show you a little thing, because sometimes you think, reading, the children would be so calm. Well, don't worry. Reading to children doesn't always have to be calm, and some children are not geared that way, and that's just fine. Do you know what I mean?
Show them this book.
I'm just going to show you. This is my husband reading to our children, and I think he knew he was on camera, so he got a bit camera shy. But this is him reading. This is bedtime story time last night. And reading Guess How Much I Love You. How they go to sleep afterwards, I'm not sure, but they do. So there's a lot of rubbish that goes on. So it's not always calm. You think, reading books, it's going to be so calm. But there's a lot of rubbish, and that's just fine. They are listening to that story. They're actually internalizing it by doing the actions. So you don't think, just because they're running around a bit or whatever, just keep going for it. And eventually, and that, it's funny because if my husband comes home, then it's his job to read to the children, and that becomes his special bonding time with the children, because he hasn't seen them all day. And also, Daddy's only allowed to read, that's a Daddy book. I'm not allowed to read that book. That's off limits to me, because they say, no, Daddy reads that book, that's a Daddy book. And I don't encroach on that territory. So I think it's important too that they've established this funny little tradition. I allow them to have it. But don't think, it's not always going to be nice and cozy. They can be a bit wild. and crazy, and that's just
And that's
fun
great,
too.
yeah. And you can always find books like, so for example, there's this called Just Imagine. So you think, oh, books are supposed to be, if it's lots of text, then picture and text and stuff like that. But you can play with books also, and that's great because you're exploring the medium of, so it's called Just Imagine. It's when you make your own story. So it's like that. So the kids get to point to the pictures and they'll tell you the story. So it says, can you imagine being big? And then you can discuss. And the wonderful thing about it is each time you go through it, it will be a different story. And then you talk about what else there could be. So you set up character, you set up plot, and then you set up conflict, and you set up resolution in a picture book like that, which the kid is going to choose. So, see?
This is a great book.
Right,
and
it's going to be, and this will be so noisy. If you try to do it with like just 3 kids, oh my goodness, it is so noisy because everyone has an idea, and that is great, right? Because you're chatting, you're discussing. Often they review all sorts of secrets that they have done in school and stuff like that. And also for feelings, so it's not just learning; it's also about talking about feelings. And I think literature is the safest way to do it, even as grown-ups, right? When we explore difficult topics, death, or I don't want to connect it so close, but new siblings, or you know, a new environment. It's quite scary. And a new environment and stuff like
everybody.
that. It's easier for the kid to talk about what another character is going through than it is for what the kid is going through, unless you have, you know, I mean, different children, but most of the time. So you have things like that. Right, that you read and then discuss. So you can use the characters in the story like a bridge, right? As a, oh, you know, what do you think this character feels? Have you ever felt the same way?
That's totally hip in schools at the moment.
Yeah,
Emotional intelligence.
It's your social emotional learning.
Yeah.
So books are a great way to do that, and then also it's a safe space. Also, your reading time.